Hey everyone, how are you? I was drawn to do a video today. It's Saturday afternoon here and the sun's out now, but it's been raining on and off and lots of hail, which is great for the garden. But I've been do the video, no, can't do the video. Oh, look, I can do the video, no, I can't do the video. And so I just left it up to Spirit and I just said, if you want me to do this video, then just stop the hail and let the sun come out and I'll know to do the video. And about 5 minutes after I said that, the hail stopped and the rain came out. So I'm going to get it in now just in case I just have that window of opportunity, and then the rain's going to start again, because although it looks beautiful with the sun coming in, it changes really quickly where I live. So I live in Melbourne in Australia, and the weather there is a bit like four seasons in one day. Sometimes we call it bipolar weather. So this is where I am at the moment recording. But what I wanted to talk to you today, and I'm going to try and condense, I'm not good at this, but I'm going to try and condense it, is a couple of experiences that I've had lately myself, and which I want to share quickly, and which brings me to helping or wanting to speak out about this to others. And it pretty much comes back to our power and not giving our power away, and empowerment. I guess it's all around that. And I know we've probably heard lots of things about this from everywhere else, but it's really, it is a thing that we do give our power away sometimes, and we don't even realize we're doing it. And what happens is it happens because we don't know our worth or our value. And when we still have those worthiness issues, or we think we may not because we're on the right track, and it could take someone to come in, and depending on whether they trigger you or they derail you, or they create doubt in your mind, will show you whether you are, whether you still hold, whether you, lack worthiness still, or if you know your worth, basically. So I might look down at times because I've got a few notes here. But the interesting thing is, I want to share the scene for any of you that have seen the movie Wonder Woman. The part where Diana, it's an amazing part. So Diana, Wonder Woman, where they're in this trench or whatever you call it, and wherever you are around the world, and Steve's directing her to go this way, and he's like, the mission's this way. And she sees all those people that are starving and sick, and she wants to go, they call it no man's land, and she wants to go through and help. And he's saying, no, no one has been able to get through there in months or a year or whatever he says. It's a long time since I've kind of seen the films. And he says, we have to go this way. And she looks at him, and in that moment, she knows her power and she knows her soul. And, I might shed some tears here because it's a very beautiful part of the movie. And she, if you've seen it, she turns around and she flips the thing out of her hair and puts her headpiece on and starts to climb the ladder up out of the bunker over the top. And he turns around and he yells out her name because it's understandable. Yeah, he's trying to stop her because he's trying to protect her. At the same time, he's trying to stop her because he doesn't think she can do it. And she's moving forward to do it because she knows in her heart and soul she can do it. Now, we're talking about Wonder Woman here. So she has some pretty massive superpowers. However, those twin flames out there that are twin souls that are listening to this on the journey, we have massive superpowers too. We're just not fully in that part our ascension and enlightenment where we're using them all to their full capacity yet. However, so she climbs up and off she goes, and she's shielding herself so the others can come behind. She's creating a shield for them to come behind, and then it goes on, and then that's how they move forward and can help. And in this part, the music's playing, and it's amazing because it's so powerful because she knows her power. Now, if she didn't know her worth and her power and her value, she would have turned around and the scene would have went quite different. She would have said, now I know you're saying, oh, come on, this is Wonder Woman, but still, just think outside the box. She would have turned around and said, yeah, okay, I suppose you're right. I didn't know that, right? Because he's offering her information that she doesn't know that what's happening, as in like no soldiers have been able, they've been firing at them back and forth, and for months and months and months, no soldiers have been able to go up over there and head towards into that battlefield. So he tells her the information, and she could have just said, all right, I'll listen to you and we'll go your way because you know more of what's going on. But she didn't. She chose to come from her passion, her heart, her soul, and her power because she knew she could do it. And whilst we all might be sitting here thinking, yeah, that's awesome, but we're not Wonder Woman, the thing is, it's what it stands for. And for you to be, and for us to be in our true power, we have to know what we can do. We have to know our power and know our worth and know our value ourselves. And what happens is in life, we are all born into a society full of conditioning that tells us, it's a program that tells us that we're not worthy. And it's like, it tells us when we're born, it is our birthright that we have worthiness and that we are valuable and that we have power. But we are, as humanity, as humans, we are a race that have been taught that we have to earn respect. We have to earn people, earn our value, earn our worth. People have to see us do something or be something before they'll go, wow, okay, well, she's powerful, or, oh, wow, she's worth it. And this is how we've been programmed to believe. So, and what happens is, humanity is not a race where they'll run around patting you on the back, telling everybody, you're powerful, you can do this, you can do that, wow, let's go, because that's not how we've been programmed. For, as we all know that are awakened to what's been going on, we know why that is not in our programming. So what happened is, before I sat down to do this video, I went to watch something on YouTube, and I actually went to put in the Wonder Woman movie to see if I could watch it again, because I was just going to watch it anyway, and that didn't come up. But it was so interesting. This documentary it wasn't a documentary, it was on YouTube, but this video came up on Jennifer Lopez, on J-Lo. And I flicked past because I was looking for something else. And I did flick past it, but yet the TV started playing this video. And it was, for those that wanted to see it, it was very powerful. It's called J-Lo, The Ride, Part 1. And it just came up and she started talking about it. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly the video I'm going to do today. So I'm going to listen to this. So I watched it, and then I watched Part 2 as well. And she was talking about, us knowing we have limitless power and limitless ability. And she was talking exactly what I was going to express here, in that, how she was talking about how she started from the Bronx and how she worked her way up, and how when she got successful, she started getting torn down by people. And my video stopped. I have a space problem. Anyway, she was torn down. And she went through, obviously, she was in the public eye, so she went through a lot of horrible stuff. And the thing is, it's like humanity are programmed to, when somebody's good and when somebody's staying in their power and when somebody's just in their own, on their own path, you know, as she called it. What did she call it? Be on your own ride. She's like, I was on my own ride. And she said she wasn't hurting anybody. And in fact, she was really in bringing empowerment to humanity and to not just women, but men, to show that this is her story. She knew growing up she was going to dance, she was going to sing, she was going to act, she was going to entertain, and that's what she was doing. But as humans, we just get jealous and we just have this nature of where we want to pull people down, you know. And as she said, you know, and then they're saying, oh, well, she's not really good at acting, or not, you know, JLo's brilliant. JLo's brilliant, you know. And if you're not seeing it, then you know, I'm going to say this: you have issues. You need to go and check through this worthiness issues, because it's the same as anything. I mean, she's a beautiful person, but no matter what we think of a person, it's, you know, their ability to follow their heart and soul and keep going and stay in their power and not give that away. And the thing is, she didn't give her power away to others. And when someone said that she couldn't do something, did she turn around and say, okay, well, I won't do that? No. She said, I'm going to do that because that's what I know I can do. Now, there's not a lot of people out there that are like that. And that is why she's such an inspiration, along with others like her. And what I wanted to talk about today is this, really, because one thing I noticed that she said in her at the start of this video I was watching is that from a little girl, from like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, she said that she knew that she wanted to be on stage and she knew she was going to dance and sing and all the rest. And as she was growing up, that's what's like, she knew she was going to do it. She knew she was going to be the best. She had this fight in her. She had but not even a fight, you know, it's probably not the right word. She just had this passion and this desire, but she also knew that it was in her soul. She knew that that's what she was born to do. She knew that's what she was here to do. And so nothing stopped her. However, some of us don't grow up like that. And that's where I wanted to talk about me. Because some of us grow up with, it's not that we don't know that we're here for something. It's that some of us that are more, you know, I was more shy and introverted. And as I talk about in my book, Flying Without Wings, and the difficulties that come along with that when you're growing up as a little girl, trying to, you know, hide or mask, I should say, to fit in, and having that lack of worthiness from a situation that happened. So I wasn't born with it, and I didn't have it until a certain time where somebody first projected that judgment on me. And then again, you know, the way I reacted as a little girl was to not stand in my power, although I did several times as a little girl, but I was hurt. And when we get hurt, we tend to go within and we drop our power, and we start to think that we're not worth what we thought we were. We start to think that people don't value us. We start to think that our words are not worthy of being heard and people don't hear us. And when we start to fall into that trap, we project that energy. So what happens is, sadly, unfortunately, it's a series of people treat us that way because we're projecting that energy. So if I go back to JLo, she didn't project that energy at any time. So when people came to her to say, you can't do this, you can't do that, she's like, sure as hell I can. And she went and did it. And then that just dissolved that energy. There will always be people that will come at us to tell us that we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough, we can't do this, we can only do that. You know, if you're a woman, you can't do this, or if you're a man, you can't do that, whatever the case may be. Mark my words, there will always be somebody that will come into your life that will try and tell you that, or try and tear you down. However, it's how we react or respond to that is whether that takes hold. Now, people might say it for different reasons, and this is what I wanted to say. If you are in an energy of already feeling like in that lack of energy, or already feeling that like powerless to others, or maybe not completely powerless, but don't have that self-worth like others. If you're already feeling like that, then chances are you will, when someone comes in and says something to you about that, you will start to give your power away. And this is where we start to people please, or we start to go, oh, okay, then, maybe I'm not strong enough to do that. Maybe I'm not powerful enough to do that. Maybe I can't do that, and because that comes from a fear-based reality. Okay, so, however, some people come into our lives to show us, and Spirit brings people into our lives to show us where we need to strengthen. So the people that are coming in and doing that, they might not realize from a conscious point that they're doing that to help you. However, they'll come in and, Spirit will pick somebody to enter your life, somebody that could be, I don't know, jealous, or somebody that could be just trying to help, or somebody that could be very conscious and has been told and connecting and been told by Spirit, hey, Callie, like, go and say this to her, because she needs help in this area or whatever. And Spirit knows that it's going to either have one or of two reactions. I'm either going to be triggered as fuck and, excuse my language, and triggered as fuck and resist, or I could trigger, see it, work through it, heal, right? Or I will accept it, and if I'm not triggered, if there is not a part of me in myself where I feel that lack of, or worthiness, or whatever that the person is saying, if I'm not triggered, then it means that I don't feel like that's not for me. It's kind of like, I suppose we could say, you've passed the test, and Spirit will always bring things to test us to go to the next level. And I know there's a bit of this controversy around tests, because people think, oh, we're not here, we're not in school, and we're not, but we kind of are a little bit in soul school, because we already know everything, but it's about remembering it. And sometimes we need to be triggered to remember it. And so for me, when somebody says something to me that doesn't resonate with me or in my soul, I stop now. I used to get triggered at the start massively, but now I stop and I look at it and I like, right, am I triggered? Does this bother me? What's happening here? And sometimes, in some cases, the person that's been sent to trigger you might be triggering them back, or trigger is a word that's really used a lot in the spiritual world, a lot, and the personal development world. But to me, I feel like I prefer to use the word like, not that it matters, but that it just helps show up where we need to look at. And so sometimes, yes, someone can come along and help, and it's all to help and assist us, okay? However, what will happen is sometimes Spirit will send people and more people, and each time, if we don't step into our power and our empowerment on what we really know and who we really are as a soul, whatever the situation is around, if we don't really know that, then like Wonder Woman, like Diana, if she didn't really know her worth and her power, she wouldn't have climbed that ladder to go into the battlefield. She would have turned around, if she had any doubt at all, 1% doubt, she would have turned around and said to Steve, okay, well, let's go this way. But she didn't. She knew her power. So with what I'm trying to say is that people will come into our path for these reasons, to help push us through those fears, those barriers where we're holding ourselves back. And to step into our soul path and to be that beautiful light being we are, we have to move through those fears and shed those masks and that old ego programming and conditioning around everything, not just self-worth. But we have to really understand our power. And I just want to say, there was a situation with me, and this is what I'm getting at. So my whole life, I noticed when I wrote my book, and that's why I went into deep healing around this. I had not realized really until then, I suppose I kind of had, but it was just more in my face when I wrote it, how much I allowed people to put me down, how much I allowed people, and when I say allowed, when they went to do it, just because you know your power doesn't mean they may not stop doing it, because people might do it for their own reasons they'll do it for, but I allowed it. Because why? Because I didn't know my worth. I allowed others to tell me, from a little girl even, what my worth was and how powerful I was or not powerful. Or I allowed others to disempower me, basically, my whole life. So that was something that Spirit had to really help me with. And that was a big part of in my internal growth. Whereas somebody else, that may not have been the case. Somebody else may not have ever had those sort of type of issues their whole life that they had to work through and heal and release and find their full worth and their power. And others could be more like I explained with the J-Lo, as in they'd never let anybody put them down like that because they always knew inside their worth. And so for me, that was, Spirit knew that was something that I guess I was going to have to be triggered with a lot. And so when I took my spiritual path, I was very humble, and because of the way I was, I definitely did not, accept compliments about who I was. I had people from my first spiritual development class where I'd gone in to learn at that point. I was kind of really, I'd been a conscious person my whole life. I knew I was always getting downloads and I was getting messages, but there was a lot of stuff, that I didn't know and about things. So I remember the first day I went in there, somebody said to me that was sitting there that just met me that day, that was, very, had been a psychic for 20 years or something, said to me, "Wow, do you really know who you are and what you're here to do?" And I said, "No, not really, but, I said, I do get told, I had been told that before." So for me, it was uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable when people would say that to me, because I'd be like, no, I just want them to go away. Because why? Well, I don't know. It was embarrassing because I didn't value myself. So when someone was trying to, say this about me and give me compliments, I'd not really had many compliments like that in my life. So, and I'm not cast blame on anyone in my life or anyone I've grown up with, because we all, grow up the same kind of way. There's not many of us that we don't, it's human nature that we don't always help others and compliment others. And why? Because a spirit said to me today, we are a race that doesn't respect each other. We're a race that also doesn't respect, like I'll say it in the term hierarchy, in the sense of spiritual growth or the soul we are. So Spirit said to me, we are all equal on the planet, but our soul, there's souls that are much more advanced than other souls. There's ancient souls, there's new souls. So ancient souls and very advanced souls, and as twin flames, we are one. And as I say, my beautiful beloved and myself are one of the original twin flames. So we're ancient souls. And we're here as leaders, like a lot of twins are. So we are leaders. So therefore we are ones that have to step into our power and know our worth, because how can we lead and help others find it if we can't find it ourselves, or if we haven't found it ourselves, or if we're ignoring it ourselves, and stepping into our sovereignty. Obviously that comes from that when that's our stepping into our power. And Spirit said to me that, so at a soul level, yes, we're more advanced, but nobody wants to, they're not going to give us that respect until humans are, until we earn it, or until they see us do some magical, healing of so many people, and then go, oh my God, you're like God, and then, all this sort of stuff. So, and this is what happens. It's like you've got to prove yourself before people will believe or understand or respect you or whatever. And so this is, whereas Spirit said, humans are the only race like that, because outside of Earth, in the other systems, that the universes, the dimensions, there is hierarchy, okay? And it's like the angelics. There's angels, there's archangels. It goes right up to the seraphims, which are the highest ones. But you don't see an angel down here that's learning his, or their way up. So, they're androgynous beings. But you don't see them trying to, say to the highest hierarchy of the seraphim of the angels that, hey, I can do what you can do. And it's not that. It is so beautiful, and it's divine order is what it is. It's divine order. But humans are very different, and they don't respect that, even when it's shown to them in their face. So why am I saying that? Because it brings us back to why we have this battle between people recognizing someone else's incredible power or abilities or whatever. It's like everyone's got to prove themselves first. So what's happening is I went on my journey, and I had people that Spirit would put on my path that I don't know if I'd say spiritual ego, but it was kind of like, as I was learning, I'd have these people that would say, oh, well, that's great, but wait till you get to this level, or wait, and I'm like, oh, and it was always like that put down, like, oh yeah, that's great, but but I'm over here. And so this was a test, and I used to, I suppose, get triggered, but it was more so that I just went, oh, okay, well, I've got more to learn. I didn't step in my power, because I was that humble, and naive. I just thought, oh, well, they're doing it. They've been on the path longer, and they know better and whatever. And then one day, when I was living in far north Queensland, I met this guy at a friend's house that had been on his spiritual path for 30 years, and he'd been a healer, and like he used to do healings at events for like thousands of people in these auditoriums, and he had done that for years and years, and we were chatting, and we had this really good conversation going. And then about an hour into the conversation, or 2 hours into the conversation, I must have passed comment that at that time, not now, but at that time, years ago back then, I had been on my spiritual path like 4 years, like actively 4 years. And he just looked at me, he nearly fell off his chair, and he said, what? He said, you've only been like on your spiritual path and actively awakened to all this for 4 years? And I said, yeah. And I said, why? And he said, I've met people that have been on their spiritual path 20 years and don't speak of the consciousness level of half that you do. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I'm saying this but I can toot my own horn because I know my worth, but also, now I do, but also I'm getting to the point of why I'm saying this. Because what he showed me is that we just look at people. I was looking at people that had been on the path way longer than me. And so when they shut me down or said, oh, no, that's not right, what I was saying, or, oh, no, you wouldn't be getting that information, or, oh, no, you got that, but I got this, and this is, and I've, I'm more conscious than you, so, or I'm tapped into two more than you, so that's right. And so naturally I would just say, okay, you know, because for me, everyone I'd spoken to was like this, oh, how long have you been on your spiritual path? Or how long have you been doing this? So for me, I got caught up in that conditioning, that programming of that you had to be on for so long to be activated to a certain point. Whereas this man taught me that you don't have to, you can awaken and you can fast track. You can awaken, and depending on the soul you are, you might only need to have a Kundalini awakening and tap into that, and bang, everything comes through. Whereas someone else that's been on the journey for 20 years may not have had a Kundalini awakening, because not everybody does straight away, or not everybody, it depends. So that taught me then that age, how older or younger you were, or how long you'd been on the path, had nothing to do with where you stood with somebody else on their path, in their abilities, in gifts, in how advanced you were, you know, in your ascension or whatnot. So the reason I say that is this fast track. So this is why Spirit would put people in my path also that had been on their path long to test me, to say, did I stand up to them? So a few times I still just went, oh, you know what, I just can't be bothered with this, which again is not standing in your power. So we can kind of say, you know what, if you want to talk about levels and where you are, that's fine. I'm not getting into that. Oh, I'm just going to go over here. And I technically, that is still not standing in your power, which is what I didn't do. So fast track to, and this is what I'm getting at, that Spirit will still keep putting that test in front of you until you master it. So I would say between then and now, over time, I've developed, you know, incredibly more, and know my path. Well, I've always sort of known my path, but I mean fully stepped into it more and things like that. However, late last year in November, Spirit brought a beautiful soul sister into my life. We'd only reconnected once way back a few years ago, just in a group. And then I reached out to her on Instagram, because I did have her on Instagram, and I just felt drawn to reach out, and I reached out because I was writing a second book, and I asked her if she would be interviewed for my book. And she came in. So this is a beautiful soul. Her name's Sharon Andrea. She's from New York. She is, I didn't realize at the time that when I reached out, because I was told back in 2015 that we were original twin flames, part of the original twin flames, and I've not really talked about it with anybody. Again, part of myself not fully stepping into my sovereignty and power. And then when I met her again, came in contact, she started talking about it, because she is, and her twin are originals, and I went, oh, I got told that back in 2015 spiritually, that we're originals, and I even got shown how it all worked and how the split happened and everything. So we knew straight away that we were, because there's not many originals, so we knew that we were meant to come into contact with each other. And she's actually the original Eve, so she's kind of like the divine, the representation of the divine feminine. And so we've been chatting, and she's helped me with a lot, and I've helped her with things. And recently what I found is, and I don't think she'd mind me talking about this if she watches this, but recently Spirit used her again in a way for me to show my power or my worth. And she has helped me from November, when I started talking to her, she has helped me step into my power more in terms of doing videos, because I'm a writer. For those that don't know, I guess you figured it out because I've wrote a book. But just to elaborate a little bit more on that, I have always known since I was a very young girl that I was here. What part of my mission to be here was to be a writer and an author, and I didn't know back then how that was going to happen, what I was going to write on. I always had a passion for true stories. I love nonfiction. I'm not into fiction at all, and I always knew that it had something to do with true stories and helping people understand by writing true stories and helping people. And so I was massively sort of triggered when Sharon said to me, I can see you out there. I can see you on stage, because she knew that was her gig. She's going to be traveling the world on stage and sharing this incredible, her gifts. And, because we, as the original twins, we have a lot of activations for the divine masculine and feminine, and we're all geographically aligned around the world. We're in Australia, like set up with the grids and the ley lines and whatnot and everything. That's all in a whole other topic. But so she said, I know I'm going to be out there on stage. I'm traveling the world, helping people, talking to people, blah blah blah, activating people, bringing such awareness to the world. And I said to her, I know I'm doing that through my book. And I told her how Spirit guided me to write the book and how it was going to help humanity and everything. And how amazing and how, absolutely viral and global it was going to go. And anyway, so for me, I was kind of okay in my, like, when I say okay, like, to write the book, it's a true story. I'm raw, real, vulnerable. There's stuff in there I've never told a soul. So for me, that was a massive step for me to write and publish this book in the first place, because that was me being out there. But I did have a little bit of a fear around being, when I went to, people that didn't know me that I'd meet that were psychics and say, oh my gosh, you're going to be famous and you're going to be so well known and you're going to be, and that was the fear I had, because I didn't want to necessarily. I was like, oh my God, I don't know about the fame thing, and because I've always been more shy and introverted and love my space and, just love my energy and my meditation time and like I'm flexible with my day. I don't have a schedule. I don't live to a linear calendar or time. I don't live linear at all anymore. I am just really in the moment. However, I just I love to meditate every day, and that's just certain practices that I do each day. And then all I could think of is, like, she's saying you're going to be, on stage a bit. So was I triggered? Yes, I was triggered, because I didn't want to be on stage, and that was going to be a fear of public speaking. I've always had a fear of public speaking my whole life. So when someone said you're going to be on stage, I'm like, yeah, nah. I wrote the book. It's going to help change the world. That's good enough. So she helped me move through it. And I started by putting myself out there. At that point, I'd never done a video. I'd never done an IGTV on Instagram. I'd just put a photo of myself out there. So now, fast forward about 4 months, I've got a YouTube channel. I put videos out there. I've got more comfortable in front of the videos, the camera. I feel now, I just said to a friend yesterday, and my mum actually as well, that I feel now I could stand on stage, put me on a stage next to any of the great thought leaders and motivational speakers in the world, and I can hold my own. And for me to say that, oh my God, like, I just couldn't believe. And my mum said, I know you can, because my mum's been telling me all the time that because she hears me talk about things at home and stuff, and she's always said, I don't know why you're not out there speaking on stage and helping people with all this. And I used to just say, oh no. And so I actually said to her yesterday, put me on a stage next to all those people. I don't mind. Lisa Nichols, I love, like Eckhart Tolle, Deepak, any of them, and I can hold my own, absolutely. And I know I can bring something to the table that those people can't. And why do I know that? Because on this journey, on this particular soul connection journey, we understand energy like no one else can on this planet. So anyone that's not in this twin flame connection and journey, a real twin flame, anyone that's not on a real couldn't understand how it works. And you see that when you see comments sometimes with these trolls and people that hop on videos and say, oh, you know, there's no such thing as twin flames, or I don't believe in twin flames, or, you know, oh, it's just not this or not that. And then you know straight away that they're either been a troll set up, or they're not one, or they have no idea about it, because everybody that has this connection and is connected to their soul partner like this in this physical human form knows absolutely damn well how it works. So energetically, yeah, I feel that we have so much more we can bring to the table about how energy works. And so that in alone, you know, but getting back to, you know, where I'm going with that is that there was a time in my life that I would never, ever have put myself out there like that. And so now I feel that, you know, I fully have stepped in and know my worth and know my power. And what it really took is for my beautiful friend, for her to in lots of ways tell me that, you know, I would say something and then she would sort of say, oh no, it's this way, or, you know, no, I think, you know, you've been triggered in that way, or whatever. And I knew I wasn't, but what it was about spirit showing me that it was time to really stand in my power. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter about what other people's beliefs are. It doesn't matter if somebody says to you, and I'm not saying that this has happened between my beautiful friend and I, but this is something that used to happen with me and other people on the spiritual path. You know, they would say something to me, and then I wouldn't just walk away. I would defend myself, and then I'd defend myself. But then they'd come back with, oh, well, Spirit told me, blah, 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 blah. And they'd always come from that as if what I'm getting, you know, it's not that it isn't relevant, but it's like the source I'm getting it from or where I'm tapped into, like they can get it better. Now, I'll challenge anybody. I know I have a direct link to God, creator, consciousness, source, the pure divine light. Always have. I've never had a problem with connecting with a source that is not benevolent, put it that way. And that is just a beautiful gift. I guess it's just for me, as I started my spiritual path and tapped into my wisdom, I was lucky. A lot came to me really quickly, you know, in terms of doing psychic readings and, you know, and having people come through as medium. I shut that side off a bit because I don't really want to do the medium side because of what that does with your frequency. But I have been very lucky like that, and I have helped a lot of people with healing. I've worked with some of the ugliest dark energies that you'll ever say, which I'm not going to get into in this video, but I've helped people. So, and that's one thing when it came to my healing. Sorry if that's coming through. But I always knew my power as a healer, and I always knew my light. Yet in my human body, my human vessel, my ego used to tell me in other ways I wasn't worthy. So the big message here for everybody is to, when you get to that point, if someone's trying to tell you that you know you're not good enough, or if you know what you're here to do in your heart and soul. Getting back to what I was saying, when my beautiful friend Sharon was telling me how I'm here and I'm going to be on stage and talking as well and blah blah blah, and I didn't want to listen. And then what happened is I moved through that, and when I got my own video channel and, was putting out videos and all that, and worked through that fear, then I got to the point where I sort of said to Spirit, well, okay, I just let go of everything and surrendered everything, and said that I'm open to all universal abundance fully in any way that you want to bring it to me, in any way, God, universe, that you want to bring abundance to me. So and for me to do that energetically, I have to let go of everything else, detach from expectations, even if I know that that's in my soul and that's my path, even if I know that that's what I'm here to do, which I know I am here to be a writer. That is my first main gig. But what was happening is I was shutting down. I could be here to be a writer and a speaker or something else. But what I was doing is I was shutting out the things that were part of my path that I still had a fear around. And we can do that. So once I released that and I surrendered that fully, I don't have any fear around that now. But what I really know deep in my heart and soul, and this is not from my ego, is that writing is my main gig, because I'm so passionate about the word, and writing it out. And for me, the way I absorb things, I would much rather read a book than listen to an audio book or listen to someone talk. That's just me. Someone else might like it the other way around, but for me, the way I really absorb things and process things, because I'm an internal person, so I'm more an introvert. So the way introverts, and I'm not really a label person, but I'm just saying, using the terms so that people can understand the personality I am. So I'm a deep thinker. I'm a deep feeler. I'm an extreme empath. So for me, it's just how I've been since a little girl. I've gone within. Introverts are a lot like internal warriors. We fight our battles on the inside ourselves and work it out a lot of the time, instead of, whereas extroverts are more out there and just saying it out there and getting people's opinions and responses and all this sort of stuff. So for me, I would rather absorb things, read them and absorb them deeply when when I don't have the interference. I don't want people yapping in my ear. So that's just for me, and I know that that's a part of my makeup, part of who I am here. And in terms of writing, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be out there and speak as well. But what I'm saying is that always know and be true to yourself of what your heart and soul is telling you. But make sure it's not ego. So when we have a fear around something, that'll be a fear that's because fears come from the ego. Okay, so if we have a fear around something, that's coming from our ego to stop us to do that. And that shuts the door, and then that's not going to can't bring the abundance. It's, spirit can't bring and show us what we're here to do in that area if we're blocking it. So just make sure you've removed any type of ego block around anything. And then if you're really, truly feeling into your heart and soul, like that's not changed for me in terms of writing. But, as I said to my beautiful soul sister, maybe I am here to do some speaking as well. I don't see myself out there like her fully. And Spirit has showed me that. But for her, she had to tell me I was, for me to push through that. So if she had to come back and said, yeah, I totally agree with you, you're here to write, well, I would have just went on my merry way, and I would never have pushed through that fear. So Spirit will bring the information through to the person that is helping you, whether it's to trigger you to work through it or help you in what area. Spirit will bring the information through to help you push through that. which is what they did with her. So now, like I said before, I can hold my own on a stage now. I have no fear at all being out there. However, I still know in my heart and soul that my main gig is writing, and that's where I really feel and express from. That's not going to stop me doing a YouTube video or being on stage, but that's where I know I'm still that person that likes her own quiet time, my own meditation quiet time, where I will sit and write, whether it's books, whether it's poetry, whatever it is. And that's just my passion, and that's what I love doing. Okay, so as long as you know what's in your heart and soul, and that is what's going to help you stay in your power and step into your power fully. So remember, if somebody tries to tell you a certain thing, see if it's triggering you first. If it's triggering you, then they could be, pardon me, put there as a test to see how you respond to that. If you really are knowing your worth, your value, or stepping into that, or if there's a fear around that situation that's triggering you that you need to look at. So for me, the biggest and probably I'm going to say final thing, because I've done so much work for years on so many other areas, and I know that worth and value was probably the biggest challenge for me. And of course, no matter who you are, but especially I know with my path, to be a leader as well, and to just do what I've come here to do, I have to know my worth. I have to know even if I wasn't out there, even if I wasn't, on stage or, an author or whatever, the role I've come to play, and the role that my beautiful twin, my beautiful beloved, and I are here for, to help humanity rise. We need to know our worth. We need to know our value. We need to know as a soul our worth, our value, our sovereignty, who we are as a divine light being. We need to step up, and we need to know that so 1,000,000%, because there will always be someone else out there that'll come and say, oh, you're not that good, or, that's not who you are, or, no, you can't do that, or, oh, really, as if. There is always going to be someone that'll come and knock you down. That is the nature of humanity, unfortunately. That's the nature of humans, and we're trying to change that. And we are here, to change. Twins are here to change the template of love from conditional to unconditional. And that is why we're such a powerful force on this planet. And that's why we do get stopped a lot. It's why we do get interfered with a lot. And it's why we do, in the past, that's all stopping now, but in the past, why we have had to go through all these tests and challenges and things. Because if we can't step into that, how can we not only help humanity do that, but how can we activate the frequencies on the planet that need to be activated, the codes, the frequencies, everything on Mother Earth, to raise the frequency, to raise the energetic levels and the consciousness vibration of humanity. We can't just do that without knowing our worth, knowing our power, and being in our power, knowing our abilities, knowing our sovereignty, and not being strayed from that. And when I mean that is not going like, plodding along great and going, yes, and then, we get a couple of people that say, no, you're not, or whatever, and then go, oh, okay, and you sink again. And so this is what, it's been so beautiful how Spirit has brought this to me through different people, and through, finally through my beautiful soul sister Sharon, to show me that it's about standing in your power and your sovereignty and what you know. And always look at whether it's a trigger, whether it's an ego situation, or whether it's heart and soul. And sometimes it might just be that final push that's happening, because it's like that final push for you to go, no, I know my worth and I know my power. And that might be your truth, but that's not my truth. Or that might be your, in terms of what you're trying to say. And but as I said, a lot of times Spirit will set the situation up to push that person into, because if no one is going to disagree with you, then it's not going to push you in or be triggered or push you into further healing or further work on stepping into your power and knowing your sovereignty, if that kind of makes sense. I've been going a long time now and I'm getting hot in the sun through the window. So on that note, I'll finish, but it was just a really powerful message that Spirit wanted me to bring through. And they said to me, tell your story, a little bit about my worthiness issues I've had, and then what happened with the J-Lo video. You know, it's all about, and she said in there, you know, it's about, we do deserve success, but it's also not just what we deserve, it's our birthright. You know, it's our birthright for all of this. And our birthright is full abundance in all areas of our life, you know, not just financially or, you know, everyone has different definitions of what success is, okay? So if you are an entertainer or you want fame and fortune, then that's your definition of success, you know, or if you're CEO of a company or whatever, everyone has their different definitions of what success is. Success to me, to be honest, success is me being fully aligned with my path, my soul, obviously, to be aligned with my path, my duty of what I'm here to do, and I take that very seriously. So my divine blueprint, my soul contract that I'm here to do with my beautiful soul partner and beloved and twin flame, and that is the role we came to do and play and be that love, show our love, express that love the way twins are, to really bring incredible difference to humanity about love. And yeah, just get to that enlightenment to of who we are as a divine, beautiful light being, and be connected to myself fully and be able to be, you know, aligned and activated within that at all times. And that is success to me. Success is to do my mission and to be that, not so much do all the time, but to be that. And so that's success for me. You know, success is not, for me, is not fancy cars and, you know, private jets and stuff like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that if that's what floats your boat, but success is different for everybody. And yes, I love money, and I would, of course, I'll have all abundance, but it doesn't mean that, for me, it doesn't define whether you're successful or not, whether you have that, you know, as a human being here. So on that note, I think I shall finish. I'm just going to look at my notes to see if there was anything else. And another thing too is that when you do step into your full power and know your abilities and your worth, you will realize that you don't have to justify yourself to anybody. So when anybody is saying anything, you'll just let it go. You won't be triggered, and you'll just say it's okay, because you'll just think, well, that's the space they're in. Like, they've said that for some reason. They've felt like they need to lash out to you for some reason. It's like, you know, or someone might want to feel like they want to pull you down for their own reasons, because it's a mirror, remember? So we reflect to each other where we need to heal and go deeper in that. So don't feel you need to justify yourself, but don't cower down either. Always make sure that you know and stay in your power on that. And however you choose to do that is up to you. But just don't, there doesn't really need, it's like they showed me, Spirit said, and I'm not a religious person in terms of going by the Bible or anything like that, but Spirit said to me, you know, when Jesus Christ was on the earth, do you think he worried about what people thought of him? Like, do you think that if all the people that were saying things to him, that and that were devaluing him, do you think he questioned himself and his abilities and his power? Do you think he stopped and went, oh, well, I'm not really who I am because these people are saying I'm not? And I mean, of course not. How stupid is that? Like, when you look at it that way, how many of us go, oh, well, I'm not really then like that good or that person because they're telling me I'm not. There is so many stupid things with humanity that we just don't really stop and look at, because it's our ego dragging us into that in that moment, because it hurts us, and it comes through as a very low vibrational energy that kind of entraps us in that unconsciousness of unworthiness, and that's where we stay pressing the record button, playing the same tune out, and every time that situation arises differently, but someone triggers us in the same way, we just press the recorder and we respond and react with the same cycle and pattern that we have throughout our life, because it's the same cycle and pattern that we've been conditioned to believe from the start. So that's why we do these things that we do. So okay, on that note, I'm definitely going now. Thank you so much if you're still listening. Much love, light and blessings, and so much gratitude to you all for tuning in. And yes, and my course is available. My beautiful Raise to Your Divine Self empowerment course is on my website, so the link to my website is down below. And I've made it sort of super affordable for what it's valued at. I've made it super, if you were to have one-on-one sessions with me, I mean, to get that, I've made it super affordable in that package. And yeah, it's something I created from all my spiritual journey, my experience, my wisdom, my gifts, my insight, everything that I've studied and brought through. And yeah, and so if you're interested, go check it out on my website. There's more details about it. Self-love, energy and cosmic awareness it is, with meditations and audio podcasts. So the self-love is like a self-love course in itself. I've gone deep for years into my growth, and I've sort of taken all the little nuggets of wisdom, the key points, disregarded the other stuff that derail us, to really fast track people into that deeper layer of self-love, because it's like peeling back the layers of an onion, and a lot of us think like we've made it, but then there's more and more and more and more to do. And I love to share things I've gone through and struggled with since a child, because I feel I have lots of experience and nuggets of wisdom to share to help others, because I have been through it, and for so long. And, I went through, I went around instead of following a lot of the times. So, yeah, I've packaged that all into one, and to really help others to not be derailed off this path as much. And for twin flames, I would definitely recommend it, because self-love is the key for everybody. But however, twin flames, we really need to get those deeper layers. So, okay, I'm going now. Much love, light, blessings. Bye.